So you may have seen in the news that NASA estimates that there are 300 million habitable planets in our galaxy around sun-like stars. This is from something called the Kepler Space Telescope, which is now retired, but going back to the data they've compiled, they've managed to extrapolate this, which means that about half of the sun-like stars in our galaxy, we think, have a potentially habitable Earth-like planet. Now, 300 million's a lot, right? An awful lot. However, when we consider the time on Earth of the 4 billion species that have ever evolved here, or thereabouts, suddenly 300 million isn't a lot. Suddenly 300 million is not enough. Because of the 4 billion species that have existed on Earth, only one, humans, have become a contactable, technological, even spacefaring species. We can presume that we're the only ones because of geology. When we spend a lot of our time digging materials up from the ground and building things with them, which means that in the future, if a species were to look back, they could identify that materials have been picked up from one place and put in another. We don't find in the geological record great smears where things have been mashed together, which is what a city would look like many years later. We see iron where we expect to find iron, copper where we expect to find copper, coal and oil where we expect to find coal and oil. We don't find these products removed and put somewhere else. So we can presume with fairly high certainty that we are the only intelligent species that has evolved on Earth in its 4.6 billion year history. So 300 million planets elsewhere in our galaxy that are potentially habitable and Earth-like isn't a lot. It's probably not enough to get an intelligent civilization apart from us evolving. However, it doesn't take into account the fact that even in our solar system, there are many more oceanic worlds than there are terran worlds. So we look at the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. There are several sites there which have liquid oceans warmed by geothermal activity. There's a potential there for life. We don't know. We haven't been yet. So that 300 million figure is only Earth-like planets. It doesn't take into account oceanic worlds, and it doesn't take into account truly alien worlds, worlds where the biochemistry itself is different. We're not talking about life that uses liquid water as a solvent, that doesn't use carbon or phosphorus or any of the basic building blocks of life on Earth. Now, we see something analogous like this potentially on Titan, out around Saturn. It's a much colder world, and so there are liquid methane oceans rather than liquid water. Water there is solid ice, solid as in really solid, as in solid as granite. It forms actually a crust-like covering on the planet in the way that rock does, similar on Earth. So on that, if you look at something like Titan, you've got a much, if life is there, it'd be much slower because there's much less energy. Because it's colder. So there may be many sites in the galaxy that can support life, just entirely alien forms of life based on different kinds of chemistry, receiving energy maybe in different ways than we are. We rely on the sun. Maybe there's geothermal or black holes or whatever it might be. So if we do ever find a contactable civilization in our galaxy, then it is likely to not look anything like us, to not have evolved at a place that is recognizably habitable to us. It's going to be very alien. And because humans have only just become contactable, we've only just become technologically advanced enough to be contactable and to venture into space. And when I say recently, I mean in living memory, in the last few decades, out of 4.6 billion years. So any species that we contact is not going to be younger than us. any civilization is not going to be newer than we are. We are the first rung of that ladder. So any civilization is going to be very, 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 very alien and very, 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 very old. We're not talking a few thousand years. There are stars out there similar to our sun that are billions of years older than us. There are planets out there that are billions of years older than Earth. The civilizations that we might encounter are going to be as far beyond us as we are from any other species on Earth. Certainly more advanced than say, European civilization was compared to some of the Aboriginal civilizations that we encountered when we spread out from Europe. Potentially we're talking about very alien civilizations, very old, so maybe as far removed from us as we are from nematode worms. And actually even more far removed from that, because at least we have a common ancestry with nematode worms, a common evolutionary heritage, a common biochemistry. So the news that there are maybe 300 million habitable planets on Earth is probably great news for humans and our expansionist tendencies. Although the nearest one we estimate to us is 20 light years away, which would take a long time to get to, at a time with current technology measured in hundreds of thousands of years or more. But if we do figure out some way of getting further and faster in our future, then 300 million worlds similar to Earth is probably quite a good thing for us. But in terms of reaching out and contacting kindred civilizations, it's not a good number. Maybe a zero on the end of that. If it was 3 billion, maybe that'd be better. Maybe not even then. Maybe another zero. 30 billion, that'd be a good one. But it's not. We think it's about 300 million. And that means no Star Trek, no Star Wars. Any aliens we encounter aren't going to be walking around like us, 2 arms, 2 legs. They're not going to be breathing oxygen. They're not going to be, using water as a solvent. They might be so different from us that they are utterly unrecognizable. Maybe. Now, I certainly hope that isn't the case. But you can't argue with the numbers, can you? You've got to face reality as you appear to find it. So here we are. Good news for humans in the future. Bad news for reaching out to other civilizations. Now, I've been threatening to do these videos for years, really. I used to sit at the end of bars and talk about space at people quite a lot. But that's changed now, and I do still sit on the ends of bars and talk at people about space, but much less than I used to. So I've decided to do some of these videos. If you're enjoying it, please let me know. A little like, a little share, a little comment telling me to keep up the good work or to shut up, whichever you prefer. Any questions, any stories you think I should pick up on, anything you'd like my opinion on, anything like that, do let me know. This has just been done very quickly and very basically on my phone. Over the years, I have collected quite a bit of equipment, so I can potentially expand this and do it a slightly higher quality and a little bit snazzier and a few more graphics and whatnot. Who knows? Do let me know. Thank you very much.